medal. China.
Gold, silver, and bronze medals in the all-around championships of the Goodwill Games. In yesterday's team championships, Valery Liukin's triple in the floor exercises was just one of the reasons why the Soviets won the gold as expected. Trent Demas had a near-perfect 9-9 on the high bar, and that was one of the main reasons why the USA won the silver. The first international team championship for the USA since the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, when the Soviets did not compete. And one more word about those team championships. From each of the 8 teams, Tim, they took 2 competitors. They qualified for today's all-around championships. The all-around championships, Tim?
Yeah, what that is, Jim, you basically liken that to track and field, the decathlon. You don't have to stand out on any one of the 6 events. You put all of them together, you add them up, and you have our winner.
And naturally, we have 6 apparatus in effect, but only 2 at any one time. And one of the first 2 we're going to see is the pommel horse.
That's right, and we could not have a better description right here. This is Valentin Mogilny on the pommel horse. Double-leg circles should predominate. He's showing them to us in the flare position, but he's also incorporating a skill called a spindle, where your body is turning in the opposite direction that you're swinging. Most of the gymnasts on the top level are incorporating that skill in their routines.
And it's that kind of performance where once again today we say what we said yesterday for the team championships. The Soviets are favored. Working with us, yet another medal winner from 1984 in that great Olympics for the American gymnastics team. Down to the floor, and Kathy Johnson.
Thanks, Jim. The Soviets certainly dominated the team competition, and it should be the same tonight. The fight will be probably for the bronze medal between the Chinese, the East Germans, and of course the Americans. The Americans had a couple of breaks yesterday. In order to win the bronze medal here, they will have to hit every single routine. So the pressure is on, but they seem ready. They look good in warm-up. We'll just have to see what happens. Back to you, Jim.
There's Vitaly Sherba from Minsk, 18 years old, and he can do this in the European Championships. He was first in the floor exercise.
One of the most explosive gymnasts in the world. This kid is tremendous. He will mount with the same thing we saw from Lee. It's a double layout with a full twist. He was in the stratosphere on that one. Just 18 years old and so composed, as we said about Lee, but I don't think we'll see that mistake that we saw from Lee from this guy. Beautiful double full punch front 1 1/4. You know, Jim, the thing that's interesting to note here is he's basically doing the same routine that Lee just performed, but everything is a little bit better. Every line is a little bit straighter. Every corner pass looks a little bit more polished.
Which is not surprising. Lee is a junior from China, and Vitaly is a member of the best team in the world of gymnasts.
Definitely the dominant force in gymnastics. Here's where it all changes, though. Watch this, a double layout. Oh, and he rocked it. Oh, incredible. You cannot do any better than that.
You know, we come on the air every time, Tim, and we say, and the Soviets are favored again. It only takes a quick look at a man like Sherba to realize why we keep saying that, and the world knows it.
Well, you know, you saw him walking off the floor, and he wasn't even breathing hard. Watch this tumbling pass. A double layout, full twist on the second flip, just a small hop on the landing. But with that level of difficulty, really not that big of a deduction. Here's his second pass. This double full, he's rotating backwards now. Like I said, we'll completely change rotation and flip forward.
And the score for Sherba, 9-8-5-0. And this is one of his best events.
Oh, he is so extended on the pommel horse. Beautiful rhythm, elegant body line. Well, he's run into some problems right off the start. Had a little bit of a form break, you saw from our camera up above. But he's dealt with it quite well. Picked up this routine like there wasn't even a bobble. Nice dismount right through the handstand. And a good landing. But, you know, that's going to be very critical. It'll be also very interesting to see what the judges do with that, because there were maybe 2-3 circles where his legs were bending, his feet were coming apart a little bit, and those are deductions, unfortunately.
It was a very un-Soviet-like comment for Valeri to make when he admitted that he gets nervous in competition. You'd never know it.
You really couldn't tell, especially at this point in the routine, that he's getting nervous. Flies right up to the handstand, drops down into a back scissor. Beautiful work on the pommel horse there. And elegant handstand with a full pirouette. A perfect landing.
And a great score, 9.850.
Let's take a look here. I believe we'll see a bit of the deduction. No, it came a little bit early. There's his handstand sequence from another vantage point. The judges really didn't deduct as much as they could have. I'm a little bit surprised, but the rest of his work was so beautiful. I guess they kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt.
Tim, there have been 2 9.850s tonight, one by Belenki of the USSR on the pommel and the other by Sherba of the USSR on the floor exercise. Here is Chris Waller as we move down to the floor exercise. Lance Ringnauld on the pommel horse had a 9.7. There have been 2 9.85s, both by the Soviets, and Chris Waller will try to stack up something here. This is not his best event.
A full in back out. Landed very well. Not quite as difficult as we've seen from the Soviets. But an excellent landing. Here is second pass. It's a 1.5 twisting, 1 3/4 somersault. Very difficult. A lot going on in that skill. Chris does that about as well as anybody in the world. Beautiful spindling flare. And there's an unfortunate break. That's going to be about 1/10 of a point. Another one of Chris Waller's trademarks. You know, he really doesn't have the tumbling power that some of the other gymnasts have, but he has a very good look on the floor exercise, and he makes up for a lack of power with some of his transitional elements, like we saw on the flare spindle and his handstand there. He needs to really stick this landing. It's a double back. And a very good landing. That's an excellent start for Chris Waller.
Good start for Chris Waller, and the crowd is totally involved. Was all to the team championships and picked up today where they left off. As we are in the all-around championships. And Chris loves what he did. And why not?
I believe we're looking at his first pass here. This is his opening run. A full twisting double back. You know, not as powerful, as we said, as a double layout with a full twist, but no major deductions. Here, I believe, his second pass, 1.5 twists, 1.5 flips, and a very smooth rollout. Now, this is where Chris basically distances himself from other people, has beautiful work in the corners. That skill, of course, called a flared spindle.
The crowd thought that Chris Waller had done much better than his 9.6, but considering this is not his best event, that's not bad for an all-around. Rotation number 1 is over here in the Tacoma Dome and the all-around championships.
That's what he did during the first rotation. He's the European champion in that event. We are now about to start the second rotation. Cherbo is on the pommel horse, as is American Chris Waller. So let's take you back to the Tacoma Dome with Jim Simpson and Tim Daggett.
Rotation 2 coming up. We will again see, Tim, the pommel horse, but for the first time in rotation 2, we will see the rings as Belenki and Sherba of the Soviet Union are tied for first, while of China is third, and Ringnauld of the USA is fourth. But on to an explanation of the rings and the strength it takes.
That's right, Jim. You need a tremendous amount of strength, and our demonstrator here, one of the strongest, Valeri Lyukin, shows us a back kick right to a planche and a right down to a cross. You also, however, must mesh this strength with beautiful and graceful swing elements, and he does it well.
There is Lance Ringnauld. Remember, at the end of rotation number 1, he was in 4th place. He's on the rings now, needing A good score, and yet another event that is not his strength.
But he does start out with a beautiful strength part right here, a back roll, right to a cross. That's called a Nazarian. Beautiful. Like you said, Jim, this is not one of Lance's best events, but he does all right here. He'll show us another swing part. That's a Yamawaki to a whippet, and his second strength part. This skill, always a crowd pleaser. Actually gives Lance a little bit of a break. It looks very difficult, but actually is somewhat of a rest skill. Now in the team competition, Lance had a tremendous amount of problems with his dismount, didn't have enough rotation. It's a double layout. Pulls it around, and a small hop on the landing. Yeah, much better today than he did last evening.
And Ringwald is happy with what he has done on the rings. Because remember, there lurks in the future for him the parallel bars and the high bar, and that's where he is strong.
We've seen Lance on two events that, like we've said, are not his strengths, but he dealt with both of them very well. 9-7 on the pommel horse, and this should bring a fairly high score. Once again, that skill that looks very difficult, but you can see his expression on his face, actually a rest part for Lance. A little bit of a form deduction in the air on his dismount. This is a double layout. You see his knees spread a little bit bent, and of course the small hop. But overall, a good effort for Lance Ringnall.
And the score for Lance Ringnall, 9-6, gives him a total score of 19.3. On the pommel horse, Vitaly Sherba, one of the two leaders, both from the Soviet Union. The other is Belenki.
And he starts off right off the bat with some beautiful flare work, traveling all the way across the horse. Showing us some one pommel work, very extended, always in control. He's, of course, the required scissor skills on the pommel horse. Beautiful, right through the handstand, full pirouette. You know, you just keep looking at the Soviets, and you just always have to marvel at how well prepared they are for every situation. There was nothing spectacular for him in that performance. That was very exactly what he does probably every day. They're in such tremendous physical shape. He traveled right up to the handstand, breaks into his flares, spindles all the way across the horse. Remember, that spindle is when you turn your body the opposite direction that you're swinging.
A 9-9 for Sherba, and he is clearly in the lead in the all-around at the moment. Here is Valery Belenki, tied with Sherba at the end of rotation 1 for the lead.
Now, what we just saw there, Jim, was a plunge to a press to a handstand. So difficult. That skill, a Maltese and an iron cross. They're just a little bit better, a little bit stronger everywhere.
In a meet a year ago between the USA and the USSR, this man here, Belenki, won the all-around championship.
Yeah, that was his coming out party, and he plans on staying out at this point, showing us some beautiful work there. A double layout with a full twist. Whoa! Oh, and he held on to it. You know, that really doesn't look that good, but technically there is no deduction written in the code of points that the judge can actually subtract. So it's going to be basically a call on whether or not the judges think that he was so off balance or not. He obviously was, but no deduction in the book. There's an L cross. Like I said, they are so strong. Look at the face, the determination. Take a look at some of his swing elements now. Here's that dismount. Beautiful full twisting double layout. Now watch the swing of the arms, but the feet don't move.
Can you believe this? Sherba and Belenki were tied at the end of rotation 1. Sherba got a 9-9 on the pommel horse, and here's Belenki, a 9-9 on the rings. They are still tied for the lead. Vault, very quick but very exciting.
Our demonstrator today on the vault is Lance Ringnall. He's showing us a new vault, pioneered by the women. This is a Yurchenko, a round off onto the board with a back layout with a full off.
And now Vitaly Sherba, one of the 2 leaders. Belenki of the Soviet Union is the other. Sherba on the rings.
He has just been basically flawless thus far today. Starts out with a nice stiff press to the handstand. Now he gets to show us how strong he is. Beautiful flange. Lowers down into a cross, holds it extra long. Now this is so innovative. The crossing of the ring strap, swinging right through them. Very beautiful work. His dismount, full twisting double out, and another stick.
They really stick to it.
Yeah, it's so critical. It is the last thing, obviously, the judge sees, and probably the most important one element in the entire exercise. Always nail the landing. Here's his press to a handstand. That is a requirement on the still rings. You also must swing to a handstand. Now we're taking a look at his flange with his legs together. From this vantage point, you really see how critical. He's actually passing right through the cables there. Swings right up to the handstand. And no extra movements on the rings.
Vitaly Sherba, a 9-9-0. And now let's move to the vault. And Lance Ringnall ready to go.
Lance will be showing us a new vault. Up until the 88 Olympic Games, this was outlawed. The women, of course, pioneered it. It's a round off onto the board, back handspring off the horse with a laid out full twist. I think that's about as well as I've seen Lance do that vault. Got a pretty good push. Some good height.
Winning the team championship on day 1 of the gymnastics has really given the men a shot in the arm. Tired they may be, but the adrenaline is flowing because they have a silver medal already.
Now watch this. He does a round off onto the board, enters the horse from behind. And that was interesting. His right hand actually slipped off the side, but boy, did he ever deal with that quite well. Let's watch this now. His right arm slips right off the edge of the horse, but still gets enough push to complete that laid out somersault with a full twist.
For Lance, a 9-5-5. Disappointed or not, Tim?
Well, yeah, I think he's probably very disappointed with that score, although we do see a smile here. I'm sure he was hoping for something around in the 9-7 range.
Here is Chris Waller, and he's about to go on the rings, Tim. And he started this rotation in 3rd place. But again, this is not his strength, the rings.
Well, not really his strength. Pommel horse and the high bar, parallel bars are his best events. But Chris has come a long way on this event. I think that if he has to keep strong. He gets a little bit fatigued towards the end of his routine at times, but usually finishes up pretty strong.
Well, as Kathy Johnson said at the beginning of our show, the pressure is on the Americans if they are to take the bronze, but between Ringdahl and Chris Waller, at least in rotation 3 more to go after this, they're holding their own. Now let's take a look at the overall standings as they are right now. Belenki and Sherba started this rotation tied, but you've seen that Sherba got a 9-9 and Belenki did not do that well on the vault, and Waller is yet to go. Here are the others. There are 4 tied for 4th, including Lance Ringdahl, and Cholani of Hungary is 8th. And we'll see what Chris does here.
Well, he starts out with a back roll right into a cross. There it is. It's an Azarian. Now he'll kip back into another L cross. Holds it very well. Showing us a good amount of strength. Very nice handstand position. Rings turned out. That, of course, a requirement, swinging from one handstand to another. Some more swing work there. A Yamawaki, the all-important dismount, a double layout.
And he's stuck.
A perfect landing.
That's something we've so seldom seen from any of the Americans. The Soviets do it so well, and in this competition at least, the Americans have been having their troubles, but not with Chris Waller, not with that man.
That's right. As we've said, the landing, the most important one skill in the entire routine. It is the last thing the judge sees. Obviously, very easy to see an error on if you take a step. It's obvious. It's going to be a deduction, but there were no deductions on that dismount. Now let's take a look at that dismount here. Giant swing through the handstand, the double layout, good form in the air, and he nails it.
And a good score, 9.75 for Chris Waller.
Not quite the 9.9s we see from the Soviets, but a good score for Chris.
And he is still in third place.
Great stuff. Vitaly Sherba told us that the rings are his favorite event, and I think you can see why. Terrific performance by the Soviet. Meanwhile, Chris Waller, the American gymnast who I think is closest in style to the graceful and fluid Soviets, well, he's moved into third place now. A solid performance on a strength apparatus, the rings. The overall strength of the Soviets very evident as we look at our Toshiba analysis tonight. Since the 1979 Worlds, the Soviet men have won every major championship that they have contested except for one. And what we're going to notice here is the wide gulf between the Soviet and the American men at the last three major championships. Now, both Chris Waller and Lance Ringgold have been vocal about the American men's need for higher intensity training like the Soviets. And even though they're trying their best tonight, for now, the gap shows no signs of closing. Nick Charles joins us. Nick, what do you...
In the all-around championships of the Goodwill Games, after three, Sherba is the leader. Belenki, his teammate, is second, and Chris Waller is hanging on to third. Now we will move for the first time to the parallel bars. And with the explanation of how and what you must do here, again, is Tim.
And this is Chris Waller on the parallel bars. Long swings from handstand to handstand should predominate here. That's called a Stutz and a Diamondov. In slow motion, you'll note how important it is to land right in that handstand. And he does it about as well as it can be done.
If Lance Ringgold has a chance here, Tim, for this, he's got to perform well in this, one of his best events.
Yeah, this is a strong event, and he started very well. Nice giant swing into the middle. Here comes his major skill. It's a front uprise to a 1 3/4 front. Just barely gets his arms on, but works out of it very smoothly. A little bit of a hop in that handstand. Now, of course, the all-important dismount and the stick. He did it. And he does it. The best job so far for Lance this evening.
He needed it. Chris Waller's ahead of him. Sylvia Cole of East Germany is making a run for the bronze also.
Now, let's watch this mount here. This is Lance's own trick, actually called a Maltese on the parallel bars. Now he'll go from the end of the bars, giant down, travel right into the middle. Let's take a look at this 1 3/4 front. Just throws his arms out to the side.
Good score, 9.80 for Lance Ringgold, and that puts him right back in the hunt for the bronze.
One thing these gymnasts are not used to is the format of this competition. Unlike Olympic and World Championship competition, where the women and men alternate days of competition, the guys are competing 3 days in a row. So I think some of the mistakes we're seeing, even though we're seeing fantastic routines from some of those mistakes are fatigue errors, I'm sure. Hopefully the gymnasts will hold up and we'll see a great all-around competition. Back to you, Jim.
Here's Silvio Kroll, and he starts out just 1/10 of a point behind Ringwald.
Silvio starts with a very difficult mount. That's a peach with a half turn, another D-rated skill.
So much for say, what is a D-rated skill?
Well, D-rated means it's the most difficult. We have A, B, C's, and D's in the sport of gymnastics. A being the easiest, D, of course, the most difficult. His dismount, another double pike, and just a little bit hop, a little bit of a hop on the landing there. A great routine, but not quite on the level of a Balenki.
And that's the former on home from the United States, Goodwill.
Well, this is certainly going to keep Kroll in that race for the bronze medal. He has been world champion, as a matter of fact, in 1985 in Montreal. He was the champion of the world on this event.
Two rotations to go. Nothing has changed at the very top. Sherba and Balenki. Kroll is in third. Ringgold and Waller 4-5. And here comes Lee of China.
There are those who thirst for something different. Something beyond the ordinary. For them, there is a beer that refreshes like no other. Michelob Dry. Once you've experienced its bold taste with no aftertaste, there's no going.
6 positions. They're all in good shape to take that bronze medal. But Tim Daggett, the high bar. This will be the first time that we've seen that in this all-around competition.
Well, our demonstrator on high bar, one of the best, Trent Demas, shows us 2 beautiful release skills. The top gymnasts in the world are showing 2, 3, sometimes even 4 major releases. And you got to do this too. A big dismount, triple back somersault, and stick it.
Trent is not in this all-around championship, but Lance Ringgold is, and fighting for a bronze, and this is one of Lance's best events.
He is so spectacular on this event. One of the most difficult routines being done in the world is done by this guy. And it all starts right here. Kovacs over the bar. He's got it. Followed by 2 releases. Tkachev right into a Ginger. Oh, he is right on. Lance in the past has watered down in the key situations. Right at crunch time, he's decided to take out some releases. He didn't today, and that should help. He's got a big dismount, a double twisting, double layout. Whoa, and a great landing. Just a small stop. Step on the landing, but wow, that was jam-packed.
It was a high bar that propelled the Americans into a silver in the team, and it could be the high bar that puts Ringgold right in the race for the bronze.
Well, that routine, it just has everything in there. Phenomenal job by Lance. Let's take a look at his first release. That's a Kovacs, 2 flips over the bar, right into 2 more. Watch this. This is a reverse hecht, right into a Ginger. Now that is good work. Let's take a look at just what happens on these releases, how you grab the bar. There's his reverse hecht right out of frame. Hands have to go right around that bar, followed by another release. This is a Ginger, and he's got it.
A 9-8 for Lance Ringgold, and some here thought he did better than that.
Yeah, that is a little bit disappointing. I think they could have gone a little bit higher than that. Look at that, 2 flips, 2 twists, and just a small little hop on the landing.
Sometimes when you're nervous, you did that. You pulled a good shine on that. I'm glad you did that.
And here is Silvio Kroll. Remember, he is in 3rd place as we started rotation number 5, and Ringgold and Waller in pursuit.
Now, I don't want to jinx Silvio, but I can't tell you how many times in all-round finals I've seen this guy fly off the bar. He is so aggressive. Here's his first release. It's a 1-arm Ginger way in the air. Whoa!
And that's exactly what happened. And ladies and gentlemen, this is not voiceover. This is not after the fact. Tim Daggett called that before it happened.
Boy, you know, I hate to say that, but so many times in the critical crunch time, I've seen Silvio just barely miss the bar. He always gets his hands on the bar, but just can't hold on.
And
That's
maybe
really
that ankle of Ringgold is feeling a little bit better even now as he saw that.
I'm sure it's feeling much better. We'll see if Silvio can put it back together somewhat. He's got a dismount here, a 1.5 twisting double front, and a good landing. But unfortunately, coming off the bar like that, that is a minimum of a 0.5 of a point deduction, half a point. And there is no way that he can win a medal at this point. He's taken himself right out of the competition.
And Chris Waller still remains to go on the parallel bars. So hang in here, folks.
Now watch this. This is a one-arm ginger. He lets go just a little bit too early. And oh boy, does he ever stretch. He just can't get his hands on the bar. This will give us a perfect view here. Watch, just doesn't quite get enough of his hand on that bar. And let me tell you, I have taken that fall many a time in my career. And on that 8-inch mat out there, you take quite a shot.
5 of the 6 rotations are over, and barring the incredible Sherba of the USSR will finish first. Belenki will get the silver. But look at the difference between 3, 4, and 5. Ringdahl, Kroll, and Gua, they are just tenths of a point away from each other in the race for the bronze medal. Incredible. But as we said before, take a look at the 3, 4, 5 standings. And it is on the floor exercise that Lance Ringdahl will either win or lose the bronze for the United States. And, Tim, he will be the last to go on the floor X, which is a very difficult for many people, but Lance does quite well in it.
Now watch this. This is the exception. Remember, not the rule. Valery Lyukin doing a triple back somersault a couple years ago, thought to be impossible.
And it is on floor exercise that Silvio Kroll in your picture now, currently in 4th. Gua, who has a chance for the bronze, and Ringdahl, who will be last. All will decide whether or not who it is going to get the bronze. Not forgetting, of course, Chris Waller on the high bar. But here's Kroll in contention for bronze.
Here's his mount. Very original. It's a double side somersault. Does it in the tuck position. I believe he's the only gymnast in the world using that mount now. A full in, back out, and that's it right there. Put his hands down. He is all the way out of this competition. You know, really a shame because he started out so well, and you kind of want to see the guy, you know, this is maybe his last hurrah before Barcelona, and his last hurrah certainly representing his own country, East Germany, and he's not going to come home a medalist in the all-around.
And he made his mistakes in the final 2 rotations, falling in the high bar and now putting his hands down in the floor exercise.
Yeah, that was unusual for Kroll because he actually did a very difficult second pass. He doesn't usually do that. But a beautiful double back finish. Another big step on the landing, but it's all trivial at that point because he knows, as well as do the judges, his coach, everybody knows that he's out of the race.
Here is Chris Waller on the high bar. To hold on the 3rd, he needs a 9.65. Silvio Kroll had a 9.40, and some thought even that was high for his performance. But Chris Waller on the line with a chance here for a bronze, but needs to hit this.
This is one of Chris's best events. He starts out with a very nice one-arm combination. Right there. Now he's setting up for his release combination. Here's a Tkachev with his legs together. Okay so far. Second release combination. Reverse hex right into a Ginger. Beautiful. Well, this is make or break right here for Chris Waller. No problems thus far. But the ever important stuck dismount. He's doing a double twisting double. 2 flips, 2 twists. Little hop. A little bit of a hop on the landing. You know, you gotta stick to dismount when you're in his situation right now. Yeah, it was a great routine. He did a lot of nice, interesting combinations, good releases, but you gotta stick to landing.
9.65, remember, is what he needs to hang in there in the race for 3rd place with Lance Ringdahl right behind.
Let's watch this release skill. That's a Tkachev or a reverse hex with his legs together. Now he goes into his release combination. He'll do a reverse hex right into a Ginger, way up in the air, and perfect distance. Let's take a look from this vantage point. There's his first one. No problem thus far. Now here's the combination. He does one release, followed by another. Very difficult. However, the only deduction in the routine right here, that hop, and that's going to cost him.
And the score, a 9-8. A 9-8 for Chris Waller.
A great score for Chris, but, you know, if he had stuck to dismount, he'd have been looking at a 9-9. So that's a big mistake.
Lance Ringdahl, it is all in his hands now for the bronze medal.
This is 9-4 break for Lance Ringdahl. Yep. Yesterday he had a major problem in the team competition.
He was 9.05, and as we said, 9.4 will take it for him.
1.5 twisting, 1 and 3. Great start. You also see that Lance's ankles, both of them, are taped. As we heard earlier, he has had a little bit of a problem with them. And as we mentioned, it was this pass right here where Lance fell out of bounds yesterday. Double full, punch front.
Up today.
No problem there at all. Well, things are going very smoothly at this point.
Joe Kathy Johnson, all I need to do is concentrate. I've gone through 5 rotations to get to this spot.
One more pass, a double back somersault, and it's his. Double back. And a great landing.
A bronze performance there. The
You got it.
Continues to do well. The Soviets dominate, but the USA is right behind.
Great job for Lance. You know, I can't remember the last time I saw him go through a complete competition without a major break, and this right here does it for him. This is the pass that he had a problem on yesterday. Went out of bounds and sat down. A double full to a punch front.
The Soviets continue their excellence, their dominance in men's gymnastics, but you cannot take away this moment, this bronze medal from Lance Ringdahl. It was with Kathy Johnson.
Thanks, Jim. Lance, a bronze medal at the Goodwill Games. How'd you feel going into this competition, and is it the first time you've hit this well in an all-around competition?
Well, actually, I felt very relaxed, which was kind of surprising. But as the meet went on, I knew I was getting kind of closer to the top. I started feeling the tension. And as far as, well, competition, it's probably been the best all-around competition I've ever had in any competition.
Probably the turning point was the parallel bars. A beautiful routine. You stuck the landing. Did you really gather momentum there?
Yeah, I think so. Again, you know, anything can happen in a competition. You can't really count your chips until the meet's over. And even after high bar, even after, you know, before floor, you don't know. So you just got to keep doing your job, the gymnastics.
Does this kind of renew your excitement for 92?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it gets a spark into my gymnastics. Some more motivation.
Great. Congratulations. Let's go back to Jim.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll have the final and official results and a few comments in a moment when we come back to the Tacoma Dome. And the States take third in the bronze. And Tim Daggett, here we saw in the team championships, Lance with a 9.05 in the floor X. He came up needing better than that, better than a 9.4 to take the bronze, and he got a 9.75.
Well, like we said earlier, I think it's probably the best competition I've ever seen Lance have. Certainly the best he's had all year long. He was fabulous. He finished up extremely strong on the floor exercise, a 9.75.
And a few final comments right now from Kathy Johnson, who just talked to Lance.
Well, the Soviets were super as always, but the story here was this was really a shot in the arm for USA Gymnastics. They needed to get into a major international competition, win some medals. They've done just that. A silver in team, and now Lance Ringdahl the bronze. If Chris had hit on vault, he would have been right up there in the medals. So as I said, a shot in the arm for USA Gymnastics. Back to you, Jim.
All right, and we look ahead to the apparatus championships, the individual championships, which you will see tomorrow. And don't count out the Americans. They've shown very well. And what a proud moment now, not only for the Soviets, Sherba and Belenki, but for Lance Ringdahl as they receive their medals for the all-around championships.
Ladies and gentlemen, your medalists in the 1990 Goodwill Games all-around competition.
That sure must be exciting. We'll be back to stitch it all down for you. What happened tonight after this. Stay with us. At the beginning of tonight's program, we wondered Which of the two star Soviet gymnasts, Vitaly Sharbo or Valery Leonenko, would dominate tonight's men's individual all-around competition? Younger and less experienced Vitaly Sharbo, full rank, took the gold. A tribute to the tremendous depth and an unmatched national gymnastics program that's kept the Soviet Union #1 in the world for years. The Soviets clearly dominated again tonight. But American Lance Ringnall still pulled the bronze. In the women's 4x200 meter relay, the USA couldn't here.
The Soviets, as Hannah has said, absolutely outstanding, should dominate in most of the apparatus tonight. But as she also said, here come the Americans, led by Demas and Ringnall.